All right, what up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Hi, I'm Doctor. And this week we have Kristina Carnogursky. I met Kristina at the International Dental Student Conference, Canadian Dental Student Conference, whatever, in January. And I went up to this girl and I said, you know what? You are the future of dentistry. And remember when I told you that?
Yeah.
And I said, there's something about you that I can't put my finger on it, but you're going to take over this profession. And you just have this energy about you, this glow, this overwhelming like sense of not confidence and not cockiness, but it's like this like self like assurance that this profession is all yours for the taking. And I just love it. So I told Akil, I'm like, dude, we got to get Kristina on the pod immediately. And here you are.
I'm gonna cry. Oh my goodness.
And I'm like that Kristina? Are you
Yeah.
sure we're talking about the right? But no, I'm kidding. She's great.
Did you?
She's awesome.
You know it's spelled Clara, not Kristina, right? Just joking. Clara is one of our third year dental students we previously had on the pod. She was awesome too. But you guys remind me of each other, and you just are just
they're besties.
Are you guys?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, man,
I actually was
birds of a feather, right?
I was an observer of this match made in heaven in the making, because I remember I was sitting next to Claire in lab and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing during, I think it was like a reading week or some sort of break. And like you and I didn't know each other at the time. And she was like, I'm going on a trip with Kristina. And I'm like, wait, who? She's like, Kristina. And I was like, we're a COVID class. And I was like, there's a Kristina in our class? Like, wait, what? And she's like, no, like the upper year Kristina. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. How did you even get to know upper year Kristina? She's like, I don't know. We just had a vibe. And I think probably after knowing both of you quite well now, I'm like, it's true. You guys do have a similar vibe.
Yeah.
I thought it was all, hocus pocus, but now it's like, it's true. You do have a similar vibe.
Yeah, no, she's like the same energy and like, I don't know, we just clicked when we first met. And then since then, we just hit it off and now we're so close and it's been great. I love her. She's awesome.
But Kristina, we got some huge news just this morning, hot off the press. You check your email and you did not pass boards. No, I'm just kidding.
Not me.
Congratulations. We're so excited for you. Yeah.
Yeah. It was quite an exciting email that I opened up. And to be honest, when your heart races, I was like, oh my gosh, I was half asleep too. And my heart just starts racing. And I'm like, oh no, like,
yeah,
it's going to ruin this beautiful day here that I'm having. But it ended up being great. And then I was like considering going back to sleep. And then I was like, no, there's no way.
You can't do that. No, this is, you know what? This is the first day of the rest of your life. Like now it starts, you know what I mean? It's not convocation because that's just ceremonial. It's today. So that's awesome. And with that being said, usually when I go on dental brigades, like to Central America, and we have like a team huddle at the end of the day, we talk about highs and lows of the day. Like what was the best part of the day? What was the worst part of the day? And I'm going to go highs and lows of dental school. Okay. Tell me, like, without thinking about it, what is your favorite memory that pops out of your head?
Oh, favorite memory of dental school? Honestly, it's probably one of the formals. We have like a formal every year where all the dental students come together and we all dress up. And like, I would say last year's formal, right after COVID, everyone like didn't see each other for a few years. And then we all got together and it was just such a fun night. And yeah, I feel like that's the highlights of dental school are definitely the social aspects.
Yeah.
So probably the formals are my highlights of dental school.
And the lows?
Lows, studying, exams, honestly, third year exam period that Akil just went through, that was tough, eh?
Yeah, it was
Why do I think Kristina and Akil have different study habits and almost different mentalities when it comes to school? Because I was talking to Akil every day and he was like, what up, homie? I'm going to go for a run, going to go out to eat, just hang out with my buddies. We're going to listen to some Drake. And then I see everyone else online being like, this is the worst week of my life.
Yeah, do you not study?
Okay. That's
What's
I
going on there?
I feel like it's funny because I can like I you know obviously I study, but I feel like the vast majority of people are like, this kid just doesn't do anything. Like zero. No, I mean, listen, if you're not happy at any given time in life, you're not going to be happy if you delay it. So if you're not happy for exams, you're not going to be happy when you're done exams. If you're not happy before you open that email about getting your license, you're not going to be happy once you open it. So if you just delay gratification and you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna enjoy life. I'm just gonna, put my head down so far in this book that I forget about everything else, which I did do a little bit of, which Neki knows. Um, it's not gonna work well.
Man, I don't know how you even have that mentality. I don't know about you, Christina. I was stressed as hell during my exam week. I didn't talk to people. When people walk by in the hallway, hey Neki, how's it going? It's like, I'm just going right to the library. I don't want to talk to you. Is that how you kind of felt about dental school too, Christina? Like, were you like head in the books the whole time?
Honestly, not really. I feel like I knew how to study before I went to dental school, so I had like my routine and schedule. Like I knew how much I needed to know for an exam, so I kind of had it in the back of my head, and that wouldn't stress me out. But I did feel like definitely have more gray hairs than when I entered dental school. So it
Akil,
wasn't.
you buying that? You think this girl's got gray hairs? What are you,
I don't see
23?
one.
No, I do. They're hidden though.
I think you're too young to pull that line out. Let's take that out right now. You can't
Gray
have gray
hairs.
hair already. That's amazing.
I do have gray
Oh
hairs.
man,
What's wrong with that?
I've been dying to get gray hairs. And so like I'm kind of happy I'm starting to go bald a little bit so my patients don't think they're always like, "Are you old enough to take out my tooth?" And I'm like, "Do you see this bald spot?" And so I've been waiting for gray hair forever.
You don't dye
But
your
no,
hair?
shut up.
Seriously?
That's
No,
amazing.
I'm being dead serious. That's
no, I
that's
don't dye my
impressive.
hair. I feel like I'm being joked on right now. No, no,
No,
no.
I kid you not.
Really.
Most people in my year have gray hair.
I wish I had gray hair, man. I think it's sophisticated. But
No.
anyways, I don't know how we got onto gray hair. So Christina, Lowe's studying. I don't know. For me, my most favorable memories was studying with one of my best friends, Carl, and we would like order pizza at 1 a.m. and we would just sit there talking about like random YouTube videos till 3 a.m, thinking we studied for the last 3 hours and then go home. I
Okay,
don't
it
know.
changed my mind. I think the low of dental school, now that I think about it, was COVID, which
Yeah,
probably
fair
every
enough.
student thinks. But I luckily got my first year of dental school, which was really nice. First year was awesome. Like they had so many activities. It was so fun to be with your class. And then when COVID came in, it was just like no socializing, you don't see any people. And I was from BC living in Toronto. My roommates had left, so I was literally by myself. And it was hard. It was
Yeah.
hard to be like watching classes in the day. I didn't know what to do. Like a lot of people weren't in Toronto. You couldn't even like go outside because it's snowing. There's no gym, you know? So that was definitely not a fun part of school. And now, like the only nice part about that was now I really appreciate socializing.
Yeah.
Any opportunity I get, I'm like, I'm going, I'm doing it. I don't care if I'm tired. I'm gonna go and socialize because that time where like I said no and then COVID came in, I swore to myself that I would go and be an extrovert always.
No, Christina, I think that's that vibe you have is like you want to, you're like you ever heard, Akil, you could probably help me out here when people say like some people are introverts and some people are extroverts, some people are actually connectors, and they're the people that connect, like this one person will connect an entire class together or will connect an entire group together. Because, and we'll get into it, but Christina, I saw you last week in Kamloops as part of a course, and I loved how you were, the freshly graduated dentist, but yet everyone in the room knew who you were. You introduced yourself to everyone. And then at the end of the day, if you wanted to go out, everyone was like, well, Christina, where are we going? Do you know what I mean? Like you just have that connector vibe. And I think that's going to be, I'm just trying to put my finger on it, on what that vibe is. But anyways, no, I totally hear you. I think COVID was a low for every dentist slash dental student out there. A kill. You probably didn't care about COVID. You were just happy to work.
Just happy I got more time to do what I liked.
Yeah.
No, it's cool in the way that, Kristina, I think you're a bit of a trailblazer in a way where you can, you're the president of the cosmetics club, and you arrange these meetups with some of the legends in Toronto. How do you even go about speaking to those people and even starting to pitch yourself, let alone pitch a bunch of other dental students to come bother them at their office?
Yeah, so basically, like when I started this club, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I met so many people through media, and I have like an Instagram account. And through that account, this was during COVID too. I like researched a bunch of people, and I went to a conference called the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, the AACD annual conference. And I met lots of people there, and they just connected me. And for the specialists in Toronto, I just met them over Instagram, and then I messaged them and I said, hey, like I'm a dental student from Toronto. I have this club. Like I really want people to learn and appreciate cosmetic dentistry. And so many of them like really appreciated that, and they just offered to, hold an event or a lecture for us. And I mean, it wasn't that difficult, but definitely just connecting through social media was like the main way.
I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you guys, you know, I'm going to take a little sidebar here. You and Akil, I'm impressed with both of you too, because I get in my head about reaching out to strangers. Like I'll talk to people in person. I'm more than happy to talk to people in person, but for some reason I get intimidated by like cold calling or cold messaging someone. And so just for instance, to get people on the podcast to be like, Akil, I don't know this person. Like, like, what should we say? And Akil's like, yeah, I'll just message them right now. And you're doing the exact same thing. And I don't know, maybe this is a self thing. I need to get out of my head and just make these cold introductions. But like, how do you do that? How do you just randomly talk to someone? I like the confidence behind it. You too, Akil. Like, I guess I just need to learn, but that's awesome.
I tell Nike it's because he has something to lose and we don't.
Yeah. Dignity.
Maybe, yeah, maybe
Like,
that's
what is anyone going to say to me? I'm a dental student. It's like, no, I don't want to meet with you. It's like, okay, I wouldn't want to meet with me either.
honestly, like my opinion is what is there to lose? Most people like want to help you, and especially in the field of dentistry, everyone like it's such a great community, and I feel like everyone supports each other. So like I don't know, it to me, what's there to lose if you ask? There's nothing wrong with that. And some people actually take it as a compliment and they really appreciate it. So to me, I just go for it. I don't even think about it.
I love it. No, that's I think that's the way to be. I think that's why I would never, I'm in a relationship right now, but like I would never go on a dating app and be like, hi.
I'm doctor.
Hi, I'm doctor.
That's all you need.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to attract.
I'm doctor.
Yeah. Hey, Kristina, I gotta ask, um, mentorship. Okay. When you graduate, I think that's one of the most important things. And Akil and I talk about that all the time. And Akil has his own mentors. I really didn't have a mentor when I first started out. And I think it took me back a couple of years in my, clinical journey and personal journey. Um, when like at this stage in your career, before you even start going into dentistry, like actually working, but you've reached out to all these almost like legends in our profession already. Have you considered like what you want in a mentor or how you're going to find a mentor?
Yeah, so I mean my mentor was supposed to be my mom who's a dentist. So my original plan was to come home to BC and work with my mom, and then eventually she can retire and I can just take over. Um but What I'm looking for in a mentor is just someone who can like stand over my side, or not necessarily stand over my side, just like someone that's willing to accept questions. And like I'm a huge self learner, so I like to watch videos and just like I'll ask anyone questions who's a dentist, and I'll say like, what's your opinion? What would you do? Um, so I feel like it's better to have more than just one mentor in dentistry. You should have like several people that you can go to. For instance, I'm going to go to you about my wisdom teeth. Um,
I'm not even gonna go there. Okay, perfect.
yeah, but I don't know. Sorry, what was the question again?
Like, are you so like you said your mom was supposed to be your mentor. Are you just like ditching her now or what's going on?
Yeah, well, I feel like my mom does a lot of general dentistry, and I think I need to find like my niche in dentistry, and I don't really know what that is. I don't know if it's cosmetic dentistry. I don't know if it's surgery. Like I want to introduce myself to everything, especially in my first year of work, and see like what I can thrive in, kind
Christina,
of.
I think that's a great idea because when I see new grads, and I've had several new grads come through my office, they stay with us for 3 to 5 years and then they move on, they want to move to a bigger center. But I think that's where a lot of the dentists that I've seen didn't do so well and they constricted their career so early. And that's like, I always recommend, exploring everything, but just dive in hard into like one or two topics and dive into the one that interests you. Like, I don't really enjoy or get satisfaction from seeing kids. In the office, I find it super stressful. I don't want to see kids. So why would I, dive into pediatric courses? But I love taking out teeth. And so those are the courses I went down and here I am today. Right. Um, what are you doing to like, have you already started making plans on like what niche areas you want to go into?
Well, I mean, I did start the cosmetics club, so I do really like cosmetic dentistry. That's been like my highlight and like my main learning goals for the past few years. So that's kind of my number one focus. So I do want to, watch like dentists with more experience do full mouth rehabilitations, like anything from like a full case of veneers to like just a few, um, things like that. I feel like I just don't really know because I don't have that experience yet, but I feel like I would like this kind of a field
I want to
of
talk to you
dentistry.
about like US dentistry because I think it's really interesting what you're doing. You obviously work so hard to get into a Canadian school. And I mean, there's no secret it's easier to get into a US school as a Canadian, like out of university. But now there's a huge trend of people that, graduate from Canadian schools and then go back to the US to practice. I don't know if you're planning to go back to the US, permanently or just part-time, but I know you wrote your American boards and you did all your exams. So why don't you walk the listeners through the process of doing that and why you did that yourself?
Okay, so actually, a lot of people do write their American boards, especially in our class, probably in your class too, Akil, just as like a almost a safety net if you want to do a residency or if you potentially want to work in the States at some point. Having those exams are great and they last 5 years. So they have basically a board exam just like Canada, and it's a written like multiple choice in OSCE, and you can write it whenever you want. So most people do it, especially at U of T in the summer of their fourth year when they're in summer clinic. Um, so you just study for that, and then you can study for your Canadian boards later, or you can do them both together, which is I would probably suggest doing that in hindsight. And
That's a
then,
really good point. I like that.
Wait, why?
well, because you're basically learning all of the same content for two exams, but you have to like refresh yourself. It's more of a refresher for the Canadian boards, but if you study once, you can write both exams because dentistry doesn't change. Like you're learning the same concepts and refreshing your mind. So you can write both exams together.
Do you find like Americans, they just say things differently though, like composite, composite? Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Have you noticed that? Whenever
Yeah.
I go to courses, I'm just like, eh. And then the teeth, like the tooth numbers, I still to this day cannot understand any of that stuff. All I know is what is it, 116, 17, 32. Because everyone always asks me questions like from the States. I'm like, I know my wisdom tooth numbers, but if you ask me what number 14 was, I'd be like counting in my head. I'm like, I don't know how they do that.
Yeah, they do say things differently. And I feel like the teeth numbering system I'll definitely have to get used to, but I
Yeah.
did hear from people that like did move there. They just learn like centrals, canines, and molars, and then they just add and subtract from there. And then
Oh, okay. Yeah.
once you work there for like 6 months, it's almost just ingrained in your head because you learn this numbering system. It's not that hard to learn like another one. I think
Yeah.
there's harder things in dentistry than that.
Nope. Nope. Just that.
But why go to the US? Like, is it more financially rewarding? Do you like the practice philosophy down there better? Why go?
Well, so my main reason is that I do have a significant other there.
Did you,
So
I mean, if for anyone watching this video, her eyes just lit up and it was just like, oh, okay.
yes. So my number one reason is my significant other. Um,
No, it's ingrained in
I
history for all
support
time.
Yeah.
Now you can't break up. You're just gonna look back this
Yeah. This
episode
is,
and cry.
we won't.
Oh, he's an amazing guy. I've met him. He's an awesome guy. But
man, homie, this poor girl's turning red here. You're embarrassing her. It's just
Am I?
love.
Oh no.
yes.
So
So
yeah,
maybe
so
not why you moved to the US. Why do you think other people are really itching to go to the US?
yeah, so honestly, I think it's very dentistry is very different in the States. It's almost more of a business
Yeah,
than like
I
a
totally,
medical.
I heard that. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so and I think it's really good to know the business part of dentistry, which I like have always been interested in. I actually did a minor in business in my undergraduate
Really?
degree. Yeah, and I actually in my third year was debating whether I should just do business or keep going for dentistry. And then I
Mm.
stuck to my heart and I just kept going. But I do really like business and I I don't know why. I don't know if this is true, but to me, I think the US is just a little bit more advanced. Like they all have scanners, printers. There's just like so many of these big companies that are producing all these new technologies and equipment that they incorporate. And like there's a lot of very talented people there in the field of dentistry that I just want to learn from, even if it's for a few years. I think it could really help you grow as a dentist, and bringing those skills back to Canada um, is also something that's very beneficial. Financially, though,
Yeah.
hold on. Financially, I don't know yet because some people say that you make more in the US. And then some people say you don't. So I really think it depends what kind of a situation you're in and where you work. If you work like in some major city like LA and you're a new grad, you're probably not going to be making a lot of money. Whereas if you move to some remote area, so it depends. Like it really depends.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to bring up because when I go online, everyone, it seems like every second post from an American dentist is about insurance and Delta Dental and PPOs and MRIs. And I don't even know all the letters they have down there. And it's just everyone is complaining about insurance and how it's a race to the bottom for them. Like they're just trying to offer as many services as possible to get reimbursed less and less every year. Have you been told about this, or have you heard about this too?
I know the insurance works a little differently and it
Yeah,
depends like which office you work at. So if you work at some private offices, they don't accept those insurances.
yeah.
I know like most DSOs do, but I honestly don't really know much about the insurance there yet. But in a
Yeah.
year, I'll be able to tell you.
I find it so disheartening that as dentists, we have so little access to information. Like, how much does an American dentist make on average? Or how much can I expect to make even as a Canadian dentist on average? And it's so tough because we can't get these questions answered, so we can't make informed decisions, right? Because
But
if someone wants to go to the US, you could Google it, but you're going to get the most wide range with no, proper sources, no backup, and no, further information about it. I find that extremely frustrating.
I thought about that too, though, but I think it's because the difference in reporting personal income versus business income and how that's different. Like, I'll take out 85 grand this year and I'll say, well, Neki as a dentist makes $85,000, when that's not true because I'll keep it in my corp, right? And so I think that's where you're totally right. There's no actual number because everyone takes out a different amount. And I think they're only maybe looking at personal income. Have you heard, like, what do you think about that?
Okay, I honestly think it depends on the person because some people are like producers. They will work 6 days a week and just work as many hours as they can, and they're super fast and efficient and they bill a lot. And then there's dentists that also like to take their time, want to work 3 or 4 days a week. So it's just I feel like it's hard to compare in that sense as well because everyone's different like with their clinical skills and different levels
I
too.
have so much to say to that. And Nikhil and I, we just interviewed Kyle Stanley, and he was talking about this, and it totally resonated with me because when I first graduated, I was in that mentality, I want to be the best dentist possible. I want to see as many patients as possible. I want to produce. I want to, work 7 days a week and weekends if they'll let me, and create my own day a week because that's how busy I want to be. And then you realize, after 2 years, how mind numbing that is and how horrible that is for your head. Because once you start caring only about numbers, you forget why you're a dentist. And then every reason why you became a dentist is now changed, and you just get in, like, your mind just goes to crap, and you start to feel like crap, and your whole self-esteem and self-worth is tied to the numbers you make from dentistry. And that's damaging, very, very damaging. My only request of you, Kristina, is when you get down there, because there is a different mentality between Canadian and American dentistry, and you just nailed it right there. They are much more focused on business, just like exactly what you said. Remember the reasons why you became a dentist, and don't always just look at the numbers, because those don't maybe correlate to how great of a dentist you are or what type of dentistry you want to produce. And I don't mean to soapbox here, but I'm just so scared of I feel like you guys are all my children and I need to, like, help you all. I'm always nervous every year when people graduate, and just looking at the new grads in my office, that even though dentistry is a business, don't forget why we all became dentists, to help people, and the clinical skills that we want to build. Um, I don't know. I'm always nervous this time of year because I get a new grad in my office too, and I'm scared that they have this mentality that all they need to do is pay bills, and that's not the truth.
Yeah, no, I really like that. No, no, I totally agree with you. And to be honest, I told myself like I'm not going into my first year of dental practice with the mentality of making money. I just want to learn as much as I can. That's all I care about, learning and enjoying. And I used to think I wasn't really a learner, but if I set my mind to something and I like it, I will do anything I can to just learn more and get better at it. So I I really value that advice that you are giving to us new grads out there that have to pay the loans.
I feel like I'm soapboxing. I'm sorry, Christina. I don't mean to lecture.
I think it's important to also, well, I obviously get this rep because I'm like the business guy in dental school, right? And I think it's important to know that you running a business, a lot of people, conflate this, basically they conflate money and happiness. And you
Totally.
really got to know what you're optimizing for. So if you are completely misguided, and it all comes back to education and information, if you are misguided from whatever stage of your career, because as dentists, we don't have any business training. If you're misguided from the very get-go and you're kind of starting off, you're starting off at an inherent disadvantage because you're being put in a position where you have to run a business, but you don't have any business training. So it's hard not to obsess over the one thing you have control over, which is your production, right? But
Yeah.
if you're fully informed about, okay, I really don't need to make that amount of money. I need to make sure that that amount of money is sufficient enough to keep me happy. But there's more, there's more to life than just that number. You may have this number that you think will make you happy. Everyone has a different number. It could be like 200 grand a year. It could be 300 grand a year. But if it's 300 grand a year, one, you should be educated enough to know that it's 300 grand a year. And two, you shouldn't be, killing yourself trying to make 300 grand a year, because there's two ways to make 300 grand a year, right? There's the way of just trying to produce the heck out of it. And then there's the other way of, okay, let me try to work smart here. And like, let me try to get the right people around me to make sure that I'm making that 300, but I'm doing it in the right way. So I think it's important. It's a kind of a multi-layered thing, right? Because what do we know? Like if we're graduating and we have 350K of debt, what's the one thing we know how to chase?
Yeah. You're totally right,
Money.
man. Yeah. But that's exactly it though. Cause I remember I was at that dental student conference and I'm peeing in the bathroom and some
I
homie
love this story.
stands beside me and he looks up at me because I'm taller than everyone, looks up at me and he's just like, "Hey, you're the guest speaker, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." And he's like, "How much you make last year?" And I was like, "What?" Like, man, keep your eyes on your own right now. You know what I mean? Get your eyes back on you. But
Wow,
it
really?
totally. And I'm like, man, that's balls. Like, no pun
Yeah.
intended with the bathroom, but that I was not expecting that. But you're totally right, Akil. What is the one thing you can control, and the one thing that you're going to obsess over is production. Yeah,
And what are you going to do? You're going to leave dental school and you're going to be like, now I'm going to get my MBA and I'm actually going to learn business. Like, hell no. I'm like 30 years old. I want to get my life started. I just killed myself for 8 years to get this one degree, which Kristina is now a doctor.
yeah,
So, as of today, she finally achieved. It's like, what's her next step? Right? What's your next step? It's, I want to work. I want to make money for the first time in my life.
yeah. Well,
You
now
know?
you're like a legit guest on this episode, on this show now. Hi, I'm Dr. Kristina. That's wicked, Kristina.
Yay. That sounds so strange to me, but I don't consider myself a doctor until I graduate. I don't know why.
You're a doctor. You're a doctor. But I mean,
um, go ahead.
to that point, it's like, how are you going to make sure that you don't go down that rabbit hole of more, because it's never ending. It's just
It's the
you
hamster
can't
wheel, man.
have, you can't have all the money in the world. It's impossible. So it's like kind of this like constant chase. You're chasing the wind. So how do you make sure you're not going to do that?
Oh boy. Well, I think like I personally know that I cannot be working 6 days a week or 7 days a week. Like I need my downtime. I don't know how you did that, Neki.
Oh,
I
everyone hated me.
yeah, I just don't want to burn out, and I like to enjoy like my hobbies and time to myself. And I don't know, I feel like personally I don't have that kind of goal right now that I've made for myself of how much I want to make. Um and I know that if I like keep pushing myself, I'm not going to be happy because I'm going to be exhausted, like you were saying, and just like burnt out, and I'm not actually going to enjoy my job. So I think for me, I'm going to have to find like a balance between like what is suitable for myself, and everyone has a different range. Like some people can work 6 days a week and they're happy, and they're making a ton of money, but they're happy and they enjoy it. maybe for me it'll be 3 days. Like, I don't know.
That's where I'm trying to get to. 2 days.
What's your advice, Neki? Like I don't really know how to find that balance. And that's a great question.
Honestly, it's gonna come down to what your values are at the end of the day, what you value and who you want to be. And I bug a kill all the time. And I'm like, man, you just wait. You're in third year. I'm seeing him at the Ontario Dental Association conference next week. I'm like, you just start walking around, start looking at all the people that keep their Rolexes, you know, they'll keep their cuff a little higher so everyone knows they have a Rolex instead of, you know, Neki's Honda Civic keys popping out of his pockets. You know, there'll be someone with a Porsche key popping out of their pocket, and people do it to try to flex. And some newer dentists get caught into that and they're like, oh, I need to get a Porsche. I need to do this. And then they start comparing themselves to dentists. And that's when the never ending hamster wheel starts, is comparing. And Kristina, if I could give you any advice, keep your eyes on your own. Okay. Comparison is the thief of all joy. And you focus on you and not on the people around you, and you create the healthy lifestyle and the healthy balance you want. And you don't worry about what your friends are doing or what a kill is doing. You worry about you, because that's who you have to worry about at the end of the day. And I wish someone told me that when I was, 14 years ago, when I was a new grad, because I was always looking at my friends building new practices, opening up more clinics, feeling inferior, feeling, why can't I do that? And that robbed me of the joy of my first several years of dentistry. And now I can look back and be happy for other people, but I know that that's not me and I don't want it to be. So don't compare yourself to others.
Yeah, I mean, that's easier said than done.
Oh, I know. It's a life journey. You can't, like, being, Kristina, how old are you? I'm sorry,
26.
26. Okay. At 26 years old, I don't know anyone that has, found that in themselves yet. It takes time, and it takes a lot of self love and learning about yourself. And for me, seeing a therapist and talking to them about, why do I feel this way? Why am I jealous? Why do I feel like I need to flex in front of other people when it's nothing? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I found once I let go of that shield of having to compare myself to everyone, I just felt so much better in my own skin.
Yeah.
I'm so with Neki on that, and I tell him this all the time. Like, we were just talking last night that we were just on the phone after one of the podcasts, and I was like, Neki, you're like 1 in a million, right? Like, you're not like someone who's made it to your level of success. Like, let's just be frank with it, right? Like, Neki's extremely successful. Like, somebody who's made it to your level of success does not do or go about their life the way that you do. And I was the other weekend talking to Ella, and I'm like, I just started laughing, and she's like, what is it? Like, what are you laughing at? And I'm like, I was just texting Neki. You know what he's doing on a Saturday afternoon? Why don't you guess? Like, a guy like Neki, who kind of flies all over the country, gives talks, has a massive practice. You know what he was doing? He was coaching a first grade speech competition. And I'm like, and I'm messaging him, and I'm like, somewhere else in my thread, I'm talking to some other dentist who's like, let's go to the Porsche track together. And I'm like, Neki's here, coaching a speech competition. And I that just felt so good to see someone that was doing something that they wanted versus something that, that they were just supposed to do because now they're this rich dentist. But I'm going to give you my 2 cents from being younger than you and less experienced than you. But having worked with quite a few dentists now, is just get educated. Like, we talk to people all the time on this podcast where they, claim they're bad business people. They are, they don't know their way around a financial statement, and you don't need to. But I think you owe it to yourself to at least be able to ask the right questions and to hire the right people around you to really make sure that, okay, what is your goal? What is your goal income? Most people don't even ask themselves that question, right? So if you don't even have a goal, of course you're going to forever, chase the wind and be like, production 2 times, 4 times, 8 times, 10 times. So it's yeah. So I mean, Neki's answer of know thyself, focus on your own is, incredible, but like tangibly get educated, because if you're able to be like Dr. Kristina now, you bet your ass you can learn finance in 2 seconds. It's really not that hard. So just like understand it. Like just take a couple of minutes and just understand it, because it will be like one of the most rewarding things that you'll ever do. I promise you that.
Yeah, honestly, like adding on to what you said, Neki, you are like one in a million. I feel like
It's
there's
your
so many,
podcast, not mine.
no, I honestly feel like there's so many people that like to talk about themselves and kind of like brag about what they've achieved and everything. And you're just so down to earth. Like
Oh,
most
thanks.
dentists are not like that. So
And he's
I,
like this off the podcast too, to be clear.
oh, I know. He is.
Kristina, I have not to change topics. Akil, I got to talk to you about, like, I just feel like there's one part that's missing here. Because Kristina, when I was a new grad, I didn't know who to trust. And so when you say, like, Akil, when you say, get educated, I wish I know who to trust, who to give my first paycheck to invest, which accountant to go to. And it's very easy to say, get educated, but how do you know who to trust? And I think that's the missing link, is finding someone in your corner that you can trust, that's not there to rob you behind your back and charge you crazy fees and say for this amount you can get this service. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the missing link in dentistry, is having that trustworthy partner. Because if I had that trustworthy partner, I would have saved myself so much in crappy mistakes 14 years later. I'm still trying to forget about and trying to, clear my hands of it. But I made those mistakes, and like business mistakes. So like as first year grad, Akil, how do you make someone trustworthy? Like, how do you find those trustworthy partners?
You remember when Elon was buying Twitter? And I don't know if you're following that story closely enough, but for the listeners that weren't, there was this huge issue around how many actual users Twitter had.
Oh yeah.
And basically what it came down to was Twitter was artificially inflating their numbers, because, the higher their numbers, the more they can charge for advertising, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have 1 million eyes on something, it's going to cost more than if you have 1,000 eyes on something.
For sure.
And the finger got pointed back to Twitter's board of directors. And basically, the board of directors knew this, but they weren't going to pursue this much further, because, and this was the really interesting part. It's because if your incentives are to not know something, why would you do it? Why would you go out of your way to know something when you're incentivized to not know something? So I think that anytime you get advice from anyone, whether it be a bank, whether it be an accountant, whether it be a lawyer, you need to understand how they're getting paid. You need to understand what their incentives are, and how really seriously how they're going to put money on, from how they're going to take money from your pocket into theirs. You need to be able to follow that, and has to make reasonable sense. Like if you go to a financial advisor right now, right? Any financial advisor off the street, we were just having this conversation. Like we had this big team meeting and we were talking about how expensive having a mortgage is, right? And you go to a financial advisor, and a financial advisor says, okay, you have a mortgage of about $1 million, which is not deductible because it's a mortgage.
Right.
But you have $1 million mortgage, but you also have $1 million that you want to invest. Now, okay, conventional wisdom would say, obviously, put the money against the mortgage because it's not deductible. It's costing you money to keep every year. But why would someone who, and these aren't bad people, but why would someone who doesn't have the incentive for you to, do that, when they're basically de-incentivized to give you that advice? Why would they do that? Like, think about that.
Yeah.
Like, why would they do? It's not that they're bad people, but why would they even begin to ask the questions when they're not incentivized to ask the questions?
Yeah.
Because how do they get paid? They get
And this
paid by
all
how
comes down to
much.
how do you trust them, man?
So exactly. So you need to understand wholeheartedly how every single person, whether it's the person that's selling you dental equipment, whether it's the person that's selling you practice, whether it's a person that's selling you investments, you need to understand how they get paid
Yeah.
because you need to make sure that your incentives are aligned with
Aligned. Yeah. That's great advice, man. Where were you 14 years ago? Thanks,
them.
man.
Not starting Sage.
Yeah. Hey, Kristina, I don't mean to, sidetrack from our original conversation, but I had one question and it's on my mind. I just have to spit it out. Kristina, you've seen your mom go through this profession. How many years has she been practicing for?
Ooh, like 30.
Amazing.
Wants to retire now.
Yeah. And Christina's like, peace out, mom, going to Florida. But she's been through this profession for 30 years, meaning you've seen every step along the way. You're 26. You've seen every single year of that. You've seen the highs and you've seen the lows of dentistry firsthand. Um, I was telling these guys before I came on the pod, I had a horrible day today, but you always have to smile at the end of it because you always got to be happy, right? But you've seen the bad days and obviously you've seen the good days. Why do you still want to go into this profession? Because sometimes the down days will far outweigh the good days. Do you agree? Like, have you seen that in your mom?
Yeah. So this is kind of funny because I actually had this conversation with my mom the other day. And I was like, now that you're done and I'm starting, would you do this again?
Ah, yeah.
And it was funny because she's like, absolutely. Like, I loved my career and I loved my profession. And there's no profession that's perfect, is what she said. There's always going to be things that are hard, that are unstable, that, will stress you out. There's no such profession that you're going to enjoy every single second of.
Yeah.
And basically, she thinks that you need to have a good mindset set entering the career. Kind of like as we talked about before, you can't be guided by money. That's not going to make you happy in dentistry. And she's ingrained that into my head. She even like doesn't tell people that she's a dentist because she doesn't want them to treat her differently. So I don't know. Like, I personally am very excited because dentistry is evolving so quickly, and there's just so many different things that you can do with dentistry now, which I love. And that's why I went into profession because went into the profession. I love like healthcare, dealing with people sometimes, not the hard patients, but yeah, I just love working with people, but also I like how you could make your own business out of it too and get created with it. Like, you can kind of be your own brand with dentistry, and that's like my biggest motivation, to just like create some environment that I love and honestly get people to stop hating dentists, because
Yeah.
now a lot of people actually do enjoy going, if they're in this comfortable environment and they have a great relationship with their dentist. So I hope to be like that one day, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like my goal, my long-term goal with this profession.
Are you
That
ever
was my goal
concerned?
with wisdom teeth. Sorry, Phil. That
No,
was
no, go
my
ahead.
goal with wisdom teeth, to like not make it akin to losing a limb. I wanted it to like change the profession. Like that was exactly how I thought and continue to think to this day, Christina. So way to go.
Are you ever concerned that your identity is going to be conflated with dentistry forever? Because you're obviously a big dental influencer. Well, you're not in dental school anymore. You're now a dentist. And, this is going to and you're dating a dentist. So are you ever concerned about, potentially having too much dentistry?
Well, that's definitely a great question because my mom also said, she's like my main lady, by the way. So she also told me that don't like have your hobbies, have a way out, because dentistry can be very
Yeah.
overwhelming and it can suck up your whole life. And you don't want it to do that, because like I want a family eventually, and I do want to enjoy my hobbies and my little things. So I think right now, as like a young, really motivated person, I don't have any major commitments. Like I'm very eager. So I do want it to take up like quite a bit of my time. And I do really want to learn because there are a lot of things to learn. Um, but eventually I think I'll have some kind of a balance where I can, put dentistry aside and then also have like my own space.
I think that's great advice. I just find it so hard that because a lot of us dentists are just so passionate about dentistry because it is our identity and it becomes all that we know. And like you said, you want to take veneer courses and cosmetic courses, but then that becomes linked to your travel. And now you're going on vacation just to learn. And so it's almost becomes a part of you. So I hope you're able to form that disconnect, but it's just easier said than done.
What's so wrong with having dentistry as a job?
Can't do it, man. It's a career. It's a lifestyle. Dentistry is a lifestyle. Put that on a shirt. Dentistry is my lifestyle. Dentistry is man, it's the people that we connect with. Like it's my tribe is all dentists. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know how to disconnect just having a dentist as my job. It's dentist is like my best friends are dentists. It's all that I think about. I'll get calls in the middle of the night from the alarm company saying, a feather landed on your door and now you got to go run to the office because your alarm's going off. Right. And so it just becomes a part of you, man. I don't know. Kristina, what do you think?
Well, having someone as a dentist in the family, especially when you have your own business is a part of your life. And if something goes wrong, there's an emergency, you'll never run away
It's
from
over.
it.
Yeah.
It's always there. So that's kind of the commitment I knew I had to have going into the profession. But again, like everyone is committed to their own point in their career. If you don't want a business, be an associate. Like you
Yeah,
don't
for
have
sure.
to have your own practice that you're worried about. If you're an associate and you work for someone, you don't have to deal with hiring and firing your staff and, like if someone's sick, what to do. But it's just whatever, every person has their own comfort level. So I think that is kind of how you can gauge whether you want to separate dentistry from your life or incorporate it into it.
Hmm.
Is corporate dentistry like huge at your school? Like are the because I find like exactly what you said, associateships. Being a new grad and having so much corporate influence in our schools now, like, is that being pushed more?
I would say not really. Especially in Canada, it's still like I think it's starting and growing rapidly, but I don't think it's being pushed. Like we had a few guest events or student events where we did have corporate offices come in and they give you like free food and stuff and they talk about like working for them, which I'm not really against corporate dentistry. I know a lot of people don't like it, but for a new grad, I think it's nice to have like, you're not like, it depends what corporation too, but sometimes like you're not pushed in your first like year to produce and you just get paid X amount in a day, which is nice because sometimes you have no patient as a new grad. So it may be like a kind of comfort area and they
Yeah.
do have money to spend on technology. So you kind of have to pick what works for you if you want to do private or corporate, but it's not really pushed. I don't think at U of T. What do you think, Akil?
I don't really see it being pushed other than like sponsoring an event or two. But then again, I also think it's important that, again, follow the breadcrumbs. Why are they sponsoring? Well, they want you to come work for them, right? So it's like it's only, you know, a bit off-putting if people don't understand. it's like people are inherently scared of what they don't know. So it's like, if you know, a particular corp is sponsoring our event, spending thousands and thousands of dollars to do it, I think you owe it to yourself to know why, right?
Yeah. Know the intentions, right?
Yeah, it's not it almost like disarms everything once you know why. But I don't really see it as a huge, you know, influence. I don't think, at least.
It's just interesting because when I was like, when I graduated, back in the old days when I graduated, that wasn't a thing. Like corporations weren't a thing at all. Like it was just like, hey, you could go, like people would come into the school looking for new grads to hire, and you just buy the class pizza and be like, hey, if anyone's interested in going to, this part of Alberta or Saskatchewan, come for lunch and I'll share with you what it's like. And it was just like, cool. But now if I tried to do that, I get that heck no. Like they don't even let you in the school now because of the corporate influence and how they almost have first right to go into the school and find new grads. So I don't know. I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes that students don't really see. So I don't know. I hope, I don't know, corporations don't take over the school, because I want students to remain independent and they can choose on their own if they want to work for them or not. I just hope that there isn't too much influence. That's all I was trying to get at. But yeah,
You're looking out for all the students.
I just want to take care of y'all. It's fun. But Kristina, I got to know you really good this last week here, because you were your very first course as a dentist. You came to our course, like our implant course, Ho Young and I, in Kamloops, BC. You're part of our implant mentorship group, and congratulations. Like we're happy to have you part of our group, and we're blessed to have you there. What do you think of CE as a new grad now versus dental school? Like what have you noticed a difference in how things are taught?
Yeah, well, there's no CE in dental school, really.
Right. But no, but like lectures and
It's
stuff.
just E.
Oh,
Yeah.
lectures. Yeah, no. Very different, very outdated in dental school.
Hey, some of us are still here. don't talk too
I know,
badly.
but you know, like yourself.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's got one more year. He's keeping his lips shut.
Don't worry, next year is fine.
I already get defamed enough on this podcast.
No, honestly, I love CE because I just think in dental school you're just taught the bare minimum of everything. Like I don't know what's out there yet, and I love like learning. Even as a student, I went to whatever I could and conferences, and I went to ASM2 last year just to learn what's out there and kind of see what I liked in dentistry as well. But I personally love CE because you also get to connect.
Yeah. See, that's you, right?
Yeah.
You don't care about the course. You're just creating your own fan club in the corner in the back.
No, I care about both. And no, honestly, I think it's great to have a support system in dentistry. Like it's hard to do things yourself. And my mom told me, become part of a study club, find a group of friends, have a group chat, have something, because you need help and you're not going to know everything. Like she's been working for 30 years and she still calls her friends sometimes and asks them, what should I do?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? And
dentistry is so lonely, especially if you're in your own office. And it's important. Like I talk to Ho Young on a daily basis. We send x-rays back and forth, and I'm like, hey, I did this, messed up here. And he's like, and he always flexes for me. And it's I just think that like it's good to have your homies in your corner at all times, because we both know if we call each other during the day, like actually physically call each other, we stop what we're doing because it's an emergency. And we're like, hey, I got a patient that has this. What should I do here? What med should I give? Or is this going to be okay with? And we'll just pop over a radiograph. And it's wicked to have that person in your corner. So I totally agree with your mom. We should get your mom on this podcast.
You
Shuffle over. Where's she at?
should. That would be so funny. I'm sure she would love to do it. Oh,
No, that would be wicked. But Christine, we were kind of talking, and I just want to ask you now that you've had more time to think about it. So you saw in our implant course, okay? And I think this is representative of a lot of implant courses and surgical courses. There are, like in dental school, it's almost 60% female, 40% male now, right? But you go to surgery courses and it's 10% female and 90% male. There's that still switch over. And I'm trying to wrap my head why. And I just can't figure it out. And I don't accept the excuse of like you were saying before, like we just like making things like, look better. But I'm like, you do that with surgery too. Like what's the difference? Have you thought about this some more? Because I'm trying to put my finger on it. What is it about implants and surgery that is just off-putting?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what to say to that because I think it really depends on the person.
Yeah.
I told you I used to hate blood, like anything with blood. I didn't know how I was going to become a dentist because I just hated it so much. And I
Yeah.
told myself, I'm not doing extractions. I'm not doing like any kind of surgery because I don't like it. And it's just not something that I find desirable to look at and deal with. So
Killing Necky's feelings.
I
Yeah.
don't know,
But
like,
it's funny though, because I feel the exact same way about veneers. I'm like, I've never done a veneer in my life and I have no
yeah, but
intention.
maybe if you do it, like for instance, for me, when I did an extraction, like the first time it was a little bit scary, but then like I did it a few more times and I'm like, yeah, this is great. I love it. So maybe because you haven't done veneers, you don't know, like you think that you won't like it, but then you'll do a case and you'll love it.
And I hope every female that doesn't consider surgery a great option listens to your advice.
Yeah, I honestly I have no idea why.
I
And
know. I was just wondering. I was just wondering.
I can ask some of my classmates
Did
what
your
they
mom did your mom do that stuff?
yeah, she loves surgery.
Yeah, she's a badass. Man, Christina, I don't want you. We're not even going to air this podcast. We just want your mom on here now.
She doesn't do implants though. She thinks that's too much.
Oh, really? Well,
But
maybe you can fly in and do all her implants in your office now.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll
That's
see.
awesome. That's so cool.
But
I thought you were going down the rabbit hole.
No, I thought you were
Surgery.
going to
I have nothing to contribute to surgery. What?
Oh,
I
no,
just
no,
had an
no.
oral surgery exam. I know what happens when you yank the buccal plate out.
Oh yeah, I could have told you that. Did that today too.
You
Just
don't
kidding,
use
but-
the straight excavator when or elevator, whatever it's called, in a counterclockwise rotation.
This guy's never going to practice a day in his life, is he?
Not
you
one.
don't think it's any more stressful than like general dentistry?
What?
Like surgery. I
Like
just
taking
feel
OT?
like
No, I
no.
refuse. I had to do so on Tuesdays. I do everything. I see some of my old patients. I'll do, I rarely do fillings now, but I'll do fillings, like, one or two. And I'm like, man, this isn't my thing. Like, I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do it. I haven't prepped a crown in 7 years and I have no intention of going back. I find fixed so incredibly stressful. Like having to see the margins and scan, and then you got to bring them back in, and then you got an open contact, like, what the heck? Like, I can't control that. You know what I mean? But that's just me. And Christina, if we're gonna go down this, I finished all of I don't want to say which one it was, a highly touted occlusion program, very expensive, and it was great. And I learned a lot. And then I went to go apply it on Monday morning and I realized how little I actually knew. And so I think that's what got me off of that and was like, I told myself I wasn't good at it. It was a lot of negative self-talk that steered me down this other path where I'm loving where I am right now. But do I think I'm a complete dentist that can do everything? No. And I'm embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed to say that. I wish I was a better dentist that route, but I wish Necky 10 years ago would have stuck with it a little bit more and maybe given myself a chance and learn the hard way and learn through maybe some failure cases and learn that way. Cause that's how we all learn, I think, is you can take as many courses as you want, but until you make a mistake, you really don't know what you're doing, because that's when you learn.
Yep. No, 100%. I I honestly don't know. Like, that's why I don't know what I want to do, because
Yeah.
I haven't done enough of it. And I feel like once I practice for a little bit, I'll know kind of what everyone's talented at different things. Like, some people are so good at prosto and like RPDs and everything in school. And some people are really good at other things, you know? So I think maybe it's in you.
Yeah. It's either in you or it's not, right? Yeah. Man, it was funny, Akil. I was talking to Kristina at dinner and I was like, hey, Kristina, do you think I could cut it in Toronto? And she's just like, what do you mean? I'm like, you think I could fit in Toronto? And she's just like, absolutely not.
Why not?
She's like, you just get too excited about the dumb things in life. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, it's not like the $4 black shirt that gives it away. She's like, no, you're too low class for Toronto, man. You couldn't cut it out here. I'm like, yeah, Kill says the same thing. So
No,
that's
I
all
was
good.
just, he was asking me about what it was like to move to Toronto. And I told him I had to buy a whole new wardrobe to feel like I fit in. Like, if I went to and just walked in my workout clothes, people would literally ask me if I'm going to a fitness class. Whereas like here in BC, you go to Costco in like a workout outfit, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
Like in Toronto, I don't know,
Can't do
it
that,
doesn't
man.
really fly.
I don't know. I still wear Lululemon everywhere. I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Kristina, thank you so much for coming on the pod. I just think you're awesome. I've already told you I'm not going to inflate your ego anymore, but you deserve it. I'm really excited to hear about how your American adventure goes in Florida. And we'd love to have you back on in a year and you can tell us, what you thought now and how it actually is when you get down there. Hey, so
Don't get eaten by a crocodile.
yeah. Is that a thing? You can go to Disney World every day. This is great.
I actually have never seen a crocodile, and I've gone down there quite a few times. So when I see one, I'll send you guys a picture.
You're just going to the bougie areas that Nike and I can't go to. That's why.
That's right.
They have swatters. Croc swatters.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really love talking to you guys, and you guys are full of like so much knowledge and wisdom. So I'm very happy to have you guys in my community.
Yeah, we're in your corner. We'll be your hype man behind you as
Yeah.
you take dentistry to the next level. And we're excited to see that, Kristina. We hope to see you soon. And for all our listeners, have a great day.
Welcome to the Hi, I'm Nike. Is that a sweater?
Yeah, dude, it's the Hi, I'm Doctor sweater. Oh, dude, I see you got yours on too. Looking sharp, bro.
Dude, where'd you get yours from?
It was super easy, man. I just went on to our website, www.hiimdoctor.com. That's HIIMDR.com.
We have a website. We must be raking in cash from selling these sweaters.
Dude, we are killing it. I mean, if that includes losing money on every single sweater that we make, I think we're doing really well.
Yeah, Nike and I are donating all proceeds, which is zero, to charity because we are losing money.
I wonder if the charity will pay us. I think we got something here, man. Let's keep on keep on losing money on every sweater.
Alrighty, guys, go check us out. HiI'mDoctor.com.
We'll see ya.